for this. DarkZero again walking into the deep end of the pool. Let's see if they don't drown.
Gotta be careful of team content rolling down the halls against you, man. You might end up on a YouTube video if you're not careful. Sledge is going to be our first ban here. That's a ban coming from DarkZero, as they have the two outer bans on the top UI there. TSM will have a response. A pretty quick one at that, so they're not changing whatever they're picking. They're going to knock out Nomad, which is a ban we don't see a whole lot, but again, it makes sense in the context specifically of Consulate.
Okay, I want to say these defensive bans first before I say a word, okay? Before I say a single thing. The next one's going to be Valkyrie. There's no way that they let Valkyrie through on Consulate. If you let Valkyrie through on Consulate, you're going to run into some major problems.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. I put my entire career on it. My whole career. Valkyrie ban.
It's a good thing you put your career on it as it was popping up. That was a really risky move there, Stokes. But
listen, man, you know, they're jumping into the deep end. I went to the highest diving board. That's what I did. All right.
Either way, a sledge ban is really going to potentially change up this game on a round-to-round basis when you consider, yeah, you've got to bring a buck in now. You've got to potentially bring some breaching charges if you want to be able to set up your appropriate, you know, top-down angles for a lot of these sites. And this is going to be one of them, the cafeteria garage attack. A lot of teams are, you know, kind of required to take some form of piano control and open up top-down angles in order to properly work their way into the site. So not having the sledge to do it, it's not going to be the end of the world because you can replace them pretty easily with the buck, but obviously it's a pretty big change up for your utility because you're not going to have those frag grenades anymore in that case.
Yeah, and you're talking about the perfect thing as well, because Buck is really going to be the dynamic factor for these offenses and how they handle this map. Mainly because Buck offers different opportunities as opposed to what Sledge does. Obviously with Sledge, you have to be directly over top of what you want to get rid of, but with Buck, you can actually handle concept in a completely different way. Oh man, I am so very excited right now. We'll get into it in a second. We'll wait for their full cleanup. But my point was with the Buck is that they truly only have to take top control if they want to try and get that garage open. With Achieved on Buck, by the way, one of his best operators inside of the entirety of his career is this Buck, right? If he gets control of console office, he can actually remove anything inside of piano through that vertical play. He can actually go 2 floors all the way into garage and take off any bandit battery, anything that they need done all the way from upstairs. And that's something to note because they don't need to clear out this entire mid floor and able to achieve something like that. Granted, you're not going to be able to play the angles like you want to, and that'll be a big change up, but we'll see how TSM does.
So TSM bringing a lot of that destructive potential to the table here. Stokes was mentioning it. We've got a pretty interesting setup for DarkZero, specifically in hot and cold spot here on the inside of the kitchen, just because there's so much rotate potential, so much annoyingness, for lack of a better word there, that can get in the way of TSM based on this. So we'll have to see how well it works out for DZ. TSM are committing their clear for the most part over towards admin side to start things out, though. In fact, they got 3 players in that part of the building, very quickly sweeping out any of the upstairs pressure that may be here from DarkZero, and of course shifting their focus down to the first floor pretty quickly after that. May have to deal with Mint before they get to that point, though, as he is lurking right now at the top of yellow.
Unexpected change up in take from TSM here, simply because of what DarkZero is mustering on the defense. Need to clear out this top floor and see where these members reside inside the rest of the map.
This is another thing too, is castle barricades are now like a lot more powerful in these situations too, because you're gonna have to commit some other form of soft breach in order to get rid of them. You can't just have the sledge take care of that anymore for you.
I'm so very glad you pointed that out, because that's the exact reason why that ban happened. DarkZero really want to lean into these castle barricades, and it's something we've seen in the past, actually. If you remember, you and I casted a Sonics match where they did that on Theme Park. They started bringing castle a lot, and they banned the sledge so that people couldn't get rid of the castle barricades as easily. So now Merc, Bolo, and anyone else with actual explosives are going to have to dedicate some of their utility to that.
Yeah, and that means that if there is going to be a castle on the other side, you really do have to, if you want absolute safety in your takes here, more than likely bring both the Ash and the Zofia, so you can easily get rid of those if you end up running into one of them. So that's potentially going to limit the comp for the attackers as well, and we'll have to see if TSM decide to sacrifice that at any point here and any potential negative effects that might arise from that. That's all assuming DarkZero continuously picks into the castle, though, so we'll wait and see. This has been a very passive round, by the way. We're at 45 seconds. Kills should start happening at any second here, but up until this point, it's been very, very quiet indeed. Coming down to the wire, though, at 35 here. Indeed, the bullets are going to start flying. It's a 1-for-1 to start it out. Hyper gets a quick exchange after Achieve is able to take down Mint in the depths of that bathroom position. He'll quickly fall back into the basement after finding that one. He'll be stuck in a 4v4. Still only 20 seconds left for TSM, though, so TSM has to move quickly in order to make sure they can still get this kid onto the ground.
Still plenty of opportunity for them and lots of util at their disposal in order to clear out anything they need in order to get this plant down. But the problem is now they really don't have a safe arbor in order to do so. Geo swings on White Van, but Eclipse from downrange takes him out. 1.5 times scope works out on Bolo as well. Skies with a kill, and the first defensive round goes right into the back pocket of DarkZero with a very interesting setup. Enjoyed what they did with the mid floor there, especially with kind of a newfound angle, or just one that we haven't seen in quite some time, with Hyper holding a cross for the bathroom through one of the soft panels inside of Z to make sure that Buck could not prioritize taking out his teammate, at least without getting traded.
A lot of long angles being taken there by DarkZero as well in order to make sure that they left themselves alive. Eclipses at the end there, notably to shut down the plant attempts. And then the trade that we had happen from Hyper back over in Spiral because of the rotate to the inside of the bathrooms on the first floor as well. So some really great trade setups here from DarkZero to make sure that they're always staying on top of the situation on defense in that first round. Curious to see if that's going to continue into later rounds, given the kind of split nature that this map can have for your defensive setup sometimes. This site being no exception to that. Once again, you're going to have to see a heavy bunker setup in that showers room as we're now moving to piano and lobby for round number 2.
Well, DarkZero really enjoying these Mira picks right now, and you can't exactly blame them. These setups have been immaculate so far with her. Let's see if they continue to go this way. I mean, the beauty of Mira, especially in a position like this, is that she has constant intel that she can always capitalize off of. Even in this lobby area, that main bunker setup inside of the bathroom stalls is going to be extremely pivotal. This is all going to be in tandem with what that setup has going on upstairs, which is those vertical angles over towards the doors and the windows, as well as preventing access to projector. This is going to be the main room that everyone is concerned with on both sides. If you give that up to the offense and they are allowed verticality, they're more than likely going to plant inside of circle desk. So DarkZero are setting up for this to make sure that the clear can't come through for TSM, but there's a lot of different things that TSM have in order to make this easy on themselves, particularly Chala. In the lineup, those EMPs, if they land true, can remove a lot of this utility and make their life quite easy.
Olo looking to open up some of the windows on balcony here while he still maintains the rappel. Will give him some purview into what's going on the inside of the site there. But the real story right now for our attackers is what's going on the inside of admin, as they're very quickly shuffling their players together. On top of that, going to work their way out with a breach, or going over the stairs too, so they will have some vision on rotates from DZ if they are going to try to pull off a flank here. It does not look like that's really in the cards for them at this point, aside from maybe Skies, but we'll have to see what happens over these next few seconds here. Still a lot of focus on the downstairs hold, of course, here. TSM working their way in, still very early days on the round itself too, but now we're going to see pressure start to move in on the projector angle from multiple different positions here. Eclipse not only has to deal with players potentially swinging him from the staircase, but he's also got players in the balcony window too, so has to be very careful with aggression like that. Even though it works out great, it's a massive chunk of damage onto Merc. Just unfortunately, Merc not in the best position to full kill there. Either way, he'll be happy with the damage he got, considering he didn't lose any health in return.
Yeah, Eclipse has to be happy with that one, and that's just the playmaking ability of these professional players. Eclipse playing his role to the absolute T. You can see he's just making sure to stretch out as far as he possibly can safely. Knew that nobody was going to contest his suicide balcony, so that's a free swing for the moment. Possibly somebody on his stairs and get some good damage off onto Merc. But now he's going to fall back. Minute and 10 remaining, and they still have Connector at their disposal, but the deployable shield's already been taken away. This is something that we saw with TSM up against Oxygen yesterday, where quite a few members wanted to back off and try and delay more time inside of console office, and it seemed to work out decently, but TSM more than likely knowing that the jig is up. They've pushed them back, and Mint wants to hold on for dear life.
It might not be holding on for long here if he decides to make the leap of faith out to the open, but probably not going to go for that. Cooler heads do end up prevailing here. Either way, though, coming down to the wire, once again, the same problem for TSM, just an inability to find any sort of safe harbor to execute from here. Mint missing a great opportunity to make impact here. The good news is it still is not a massive deal at this point. Over the next few seconds, so we're really going to start to see the situation evolve. Chala with those 2 kills. That's 2 very big pickups as they're all happening in the lobby, very close to a potential plant position here if TSM is able to finally work towards it. Mint drops down the hatch into piano here. Is going to try to hold out. Oh, he actually drops the kit. That's huge right there. He is going to get traded out a second later, but now they have to try and find Hot and Cold. He's just staying alive upstairs. No one's going to be able to retrieve the case in time, and the round is won by DarkZero on the timer.
Impressive stuff by DarkZero to keep things locked down. The site execute for TSM is botched after the window player is the one with the case, and an amazing shot from DZ to take down that last remaining member. I do believe it was Mint, but either way, some amazing stuff over towards the piano windows. And that's going to be 2 rounds in a row on Consulate defense. And with the 2 sites that we saw and how well TSM was playing yesterday on their offenses here, this is very well done. DZ definitely doing their homework and taking into account what TSM was able to produce on this map yesterday, and making sure that they have a game plan for it. We're headed towards the split site now. Not too much of a change up from what we're accustomed to seeing on this site. We are going to have a decent amount of trap operators, but honestly, with a site like this, that simply just makes sense.
Very, very much the case. Definitely starting to make a lot more sense as to why DarkZero would have wanted to pick into this. They showed up with this map with a plan, and what a plan it's been so far here. 2 successful rounds in their favor. TSM coming close to responding on the previous one, but unfortunately flubbing the ball when they end up dropping the case on the outside of the window with only about 10 seconds remaining to retrieve it there. Very unfortunate turn of events for them, but hey, half's not over for our attackers just yet either. They'll still have plenty of opportunities to work their way back into this scoreline. And they have those opportunities show up very, very soon. Upstairs setup is still alive and well here for DarkZero, even though they're playing into the split site, which should be interesting to see how this all comes together on what's traditionally a very basement-heavy defense for this type of site.
Well, one of our good friends from across the pond, John, commented on our beautiful Indochino suits on Twitter, and I felt like everybody should know, since Gassan was just saying that we look so absolutely beautiful inside of these suits. Don't worry, Gassan, I will never forget going to the suit shop with you in Poland and buying one of my very first suits that I actually wore at the first final I ever commentated, that light blue baby one, the baby light blue one. I got it with him in Poland.
Like the tuxedo jacket one almost that you have?
No. That one was the original. That's the royal blue one. I'm talking about the one that has the sock tie, sock tie, sir. Yes, indubitably, yes.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm doing my best to, I always tell myself, I'm like, what is Parker gonna wear? And then I try and wear the exact opposite thing so I don't look old. So that's kind of how I go about it. Nitro Cell out the window, though. We'll get back on the topics that actually matter, like Eclipse taking quite a bit of damage, and Geo as well as Merc getting tagged up as well.
Taking some damage to be sure, but also wasting a good 20 to 30 seconds for a couple of the players on Repel right there. So certainly a questionable trade for Eclipse's sake, at least there. We'll have to see how TSM will look to make up for it. Achieved is trying to rally himself for a potential entry into yellow window there with a flash check on the inside of it. But once again, just like many of the previous rounds here, it's taken a lot for TSM just to get into a position to find the initial frag here. DarkZero are not necessarily giving TSM the fights they need, but they're also not making it easy to take any semblance of map control here. A very controlled style of aggression that's slowly falling back here from DZ, and it's working out great. Eclipse with 2 for himself. Saves Hyper's life potentially here as well. Well, it might be a little too soon to speak for that, because Hyper's still in a bad spot. Bolo finally gets the trades rolling here for TSM, but it's not going to last that long. Hot and Cold immediately puts him down after the single kill pickup. We're going to see a quick wrap downstairs for the 2 remaining players on TSM as they're going to make a desperate bid for a push onto the basement site, but Min's already here, should be able to hear the push coming his way and call for the rotates on his teammates. However, Achieved picking up one of these kills. Mint with the exchange. Achieved can't get it, and unfortunately, he's going to be taken down by the secondary shotty from Mint as DarkZero claim round number 3 as well.
The shoddy Bugatti works out for DZ. Amazing heads-up play here by Mint, but honestly, there's quite a few aspects of that to talk about. TSM with a decent roam clear, able to trade things out, but really the thorn in their side that's been here all day, and it seems like it's finally festering, is Eclipse. This guy has been a nuisance all of Consulate, and they have not been able to shut him down. Granted, it was very close. You guys saw that flick from Merc. He almost 90-degreed him inside of the little break room there, but Eclipse still getting away with the bag, able to pick up 2 kills and, step the ebb and flow of what the clear was going on with TSM. But now DarkZero well in the lead, 3 rounds in a row. The only thing is that Hyper's gone dead silent today. We haven't heard a single thing from him at all. It's like he got that initial frag, that amazing flick that we saw in Theme Park, and since then he's been on vacation. I don't necessarily know exactly what happened.
Either way, hasn't led itself to be a massive detraction from the team just as of yet, but he is in a very frag-heavy role, specifically on this round, jumping onto the A grade. We'll have to kind of pay closer attention to that and see we can potentially pick that up. Thankfully, though, like we were talking about, DarkZero is still very much in control of this matchup, so it's not a massive detraction at this point in time. TSM are the team that really need to step things up right now and start to work towards a footing on this attacking half, because they're facing down the very same issue that DarkZero was on the previous map, where we're just building up such a massive scoreline for the defense at this point. Now, to be fair, this is somewhat of a defensive side map, so we can expect for TSM to be potentially, round that back as we move into the second half. But either way, just setting up a massive deficit is not the way to go about looking for a win, especially in the case of TSM, who are already up 1-0 in this series.
Absolutely, and for TSM, it seems to be the same old, same old. We're clearing across, but Merc no longer on the Ash. He is concerned about this roam game, and he damn well should be. It's been a very big deal for them so far that they've not been able to find any way around. This obstacle continued to continue to be allowed here by TSM, but it seems as though DarkZero already making the adjustment, just going back to the bare bones setup that they had, rotating back to the positions that were quite pivotal to their success in the very first round. Seems as though we will have Mint still on the roam, trying to provide pressure from Yellow, but now TSM has top control. Don't know how much this means to the setup just yet. They obviously know about that cross that was being held the last time simply because Achieved got taken down, but this time it's actually Eclipse to fall first.
Potential change of pace coming in here with TSM finding that first strike in the round. Does DarkZero respond to it? That's the question, because Chala did take one hit, but it's really not anything to mention at this point in time here. Mint's also going to take some heat too. Now that he's been scanned out by the Jackal, it seems like the players upstairs are working on hunting him down. Possibly some drone pressure working its way around to him as well. Yeah, indeed, Mint's trying to scout that out now. As you can see, that little blue highlight rolling past here as Geo controls that Bolo as well, trying to put the additional pressure onto Mint here in order to make sure that he is either forced to fall back or, of course, they get the kill onto him. Hyper's trying to support to the best of his capability because he does have the fallback angle right there. Merc's aware of it, but still can't win the fight as Hyper, we're just talking about him, finally picking one up here. He's going to be able to take down Merc and bring it back down to a 4v4 with a little under a minute remaining.
Well, Hyper doing what he does best, but oh, Chala doubling down on his successes as well. That's going to be his second on the round. Banshee working out well as it slows down Bolo, and DarkZero continuing to dwindle down this timer. 40 seconds remaining for TSM to attempt a plant. The DZ have already rotated back to site. It's up to TSM to clear the rest of this out and try and get a plant down, but this DarkZero setup has forced them into such a terrible position. The good news is, though, for the TSM fans at home, is that both panels are open. They will have an attempt to try and make a plant. Only issue is, though, Skies is still existing. His smoke grenades still landing true. Has 2 left in his kit, and this is going to be a lot of delay, and he has enough time to do all of this. Attempt the first plant, but they're dipping on out. Bolo taking plenty of damage as well as Geo, but the frags are coming through. Plant going down with Geo on the box. Nobody can possibly find him. They down Mint. It's now an effective 1 versus 3 for Mint as he tries to rotate in, but he's taking down Geo. He's taken down Achieved. Can he possibly get Mint back up and force us into 1v2? We saw this yesterday as well from TSM in this exact same position. It was Achieved the time before. It's Chala now. Can he possibly find the same success as his fallen teammates? Achieved still not here, obviously. Chala with the possible swing. 15 seconds remaining. Goes for the swing and able to get 2. Beautiful shots and an ace for Chala on the round. Round 4 goes to TSM.
Chala knows what he's up against in that situation too, processes the information so quickly from the initial swing where he even gets his opponents to shoot at him for a little bit. That was a very risky move from Chala, as obviously the quick peek to the inside could have potentially led to his own death if he wasn't actually ready to take the shots, but gets the info, quickly swings it back out and chains the spray together. Beautiful work from Chala on top of the 2 kills used to secure the plant to begin with, and of course the initial entry as well. Absolutely amazing work, and that's exactly what we needed to see from TSM to finally get them into this match.
Amazing stuff overall. Really well handled by TSM on that round. Able to get the roam clear to work out, and actually ended up spearheading their way into that mid floor and removing the DZ members from inside the bathroom. That was a very big deal, especially after Hyper was able to get the frag from Spiral. I didn't see this translating too well into a round win, but TSM put my words right back in my mouth, or at least my thoughts back deeper inside of my brain. DZ now, this is their opportunity to continue to force TSM into a worse and worse position. And just to remind you, during these timeouts, no matter the side that takes it, the other team also has those 30 seconds to speak with their head coach, with their players, and try and figure out what their next step is going to be inside the game. But as soon as I say that, folks, it's done, it's dusted. We're back into Consulate, and we've got a 6-pick on deck.
Essentially a little bit of an annoying pause there for TSM, given that they probably wanted to continue the momentum into the next round, and DZ more than likely wanted to stop it. So that could have potentially been a reason for the pause as well. This thing we call, icing the kicker, so to speak, there. In esports terms, we see that happen in a lot of other matches and a lot of other games inside of the esports community as well. So wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but DC obviously have some things to talk about, but that truly was only the first round they've lost here, so nothing massive lost from the overall DarkZero defense just as of yet. They're still in strong footing here. The question now is going to be, does TSM start to clean things up and round together a second one, since they are going to be attacking the same site?
Well, they're going to be going for the exact same setup as well, and TSM able to figure out the code the last time. We'll see if they can decipher it once again. It doesn't seem to be too much of a change up from DarkZero, still reinforcing very similar things. I'm going to pop that hatch under hot and cold so they have a place to rotate back to. Going to make sure closet's closed up. Yeah, this is looking very, very similar. I really don't see any change ups across the board. So it's really up to TSM and what they can possibly produce here. Might possibly have some different positions being played from DZ overall, but at least operator-wise and setup-wise, this is looking like the previous round.
So, only 30 seconds into it. Very early days as far as this round is concerned. And no massive vie for control here being set up so early on by TSM. Might have a couple players beginning to move in over towards admin, and indeed we do. Merc and Chala in probably just a moment here, both on the inside with full control, and there's not going to be much of a response from DarkZero here. Their focus is once again primarily on that first floor hold, as well as Mint trying to lurk on the second floor there, but as you guys just saw, he nearly gets caught by Bolivar, one of the other players watching the crosses here. He's down at just a sliver of HP now, so he's going to have to be very careful if he continues to play this aggressive position, especially by the window just there.
Well, if he's not too cognizant of these angles, he can get taken down by a singular bullet out of any gun at the offense's disposal. But Mint, very educated in the ways of Siege, and that's exactly why he's going to scamper on back to site. More than likely going to drop hatch here in a couple of seconds, but actually no, it's going to be Mint that tells Houghton to drop, and he's going to play the forward position instead. I actually really like this call. Mint's the one that has the most damage on him, and he really doesn't want to be down inside of crunch time. He'd much rather trade himself out since he is on such low HP, and if he's able to get a frag, that's, all the better for DarkZero.
Mint still trying to maintain the position on the inside of the bathroom. He's going to keep it after getting droned out here. Pressure is going to start to potentially broil down on top of him here if he's not careful. There's the top-down angle established. Oh, not good. That's one bullet going into Chala's leg that should not have happened, so he'll be down at 75. Not the end of the world, but it's one less bullet he could potentially take from an opponent as well, so still counts at the end of the day here as we enter the final minute of the round. You still have Mint in that garage position, or excuse me, not garage, bathroom position here, causing problems, but finally he's going to feel the heat here and be forced back down into the basement with those final 45 seconds approaching, and DarkZero probably feeling like they can just fend this off from the depths of the actual site now.
It's been quite impressive so far from both of these teams on how they've been handling the clock. DarkZero waste as much time inside a bathroom as possible, drop down at about 45 seconds. You can tell they're really being apparent of what could possibly happen to them if they give up map control too early on. They've given TSM very minimal time to try and make this execute happen. It's a 5v5 inside the last 15 seconds here, folks. Let's see how this goes. Geo still has to pop this panel and try and find another avenue to work his way inside. We've been seeing DarkZero's long angles work out, and that's exactly why Geo's going to go for a separate avenue to plant this. Chala gets the first frag. Geo planning on yellow pillar, but I don't think anybody's found him just yet. They try to work their way in from the rear. Are they able to stop the plants? Oh, they're not. Hot and cold, though, with almost two big frags, but it's the TSM show here as the entire kill feed pops blue. This ocean crashes on DarkZero's shores as TSM takes the round.
TSM giving us a flavor of the first map there as they stun us once again with a last-second execute onto the site and are actually able to get the plant onto the ground and win out the resounding gunfights with kind of questionable post-plant positioning, if they were even in any sort of post-plant positioning at that point. Really impressive stuff from them. Want to give call-outs as well to Geo for the heads-up strat there of actually getting the plant onto the ground. Kind of uses the second garage opening as a bit of a bait to make it look like they actually might not have gone in yet. Obviously, that's a very loud sound cue too, so it's going to mask at least partially some of the footstep noise that would have been made by him rushing into the site and trying to plant in that deep cubby right below the upper lip of the garage level right there. Really good stuff from Geo and the rest of TSM to make a play like that, as they may have not been able to sneak the defuse or the defuse off otherwise.
Yeah, extremely smart stuff, and that's where, you know, things come in where you don't have cameras inside of sight, right? Like, not playing a Maestro there, they're playing for that extended roam to delay as much time and force TSM into a bad decision, but the mirror window can't see every possible plant spot inside of that garage. That's where bubbles come into effect. You can possibly place those on the ground, they can see under the cars, you can see like 99% of the spots where you can put any diffuser down. So that could have been something that DarkZero could have possibly done, but it really doesn't work with that setup. I completely understand why they did what they did, but that, exactly what you said, amazing play there by TSM, especially heads up play by Geo. Force them back, make sure that everything's safe in garage, have your teammates lock down the angles in which they can possibly try and kill you from, and then plant just right smack in the middle of everything. Some very, very nice stuff from TSM. Great post plant as well, as the kills just continue to trickle in.
So a lead for DarkZero, but a bit of a timid one at that here, as TSM has rounded themselves back into this half, picking up 2 rounds for themselves. DarkZero is going to look for that 4th one. TSM going to look for the tie point at 3-3 here. No surprises, though, on the opening buy for map control here for TSM, as we're going to see Merc, and it probably won't be alone. More than likely a couple other players moving into admin to take that free control once again, as we haven't seen any attempts from DarkZero to fend this off.
Well, we're going to have another change up in the lineup for TSM as well. Merc has been on the carousel so far. Ash, Jackal, and now Habana added inside of our first 6 rounds. So, see if this is going to change anything up. They don't have Thatcher here, so they're not going to have that opportunity to get the wall open to Eclipse his left. That's usually how you handle this player inside a projector, at least the default way of doing it. Just get rid of anything preventing that wall from being opened and pop that open with Habana, and now his job's even more difficult inside of projector. But DarkZero with plenty of lineups and able to assist Eclipse here, but he still is on the forefront of combat. SMG 11 in hand, not able to find anyone on admin stairs, is already half of the round being disposed of by the defense.
A lot of explosives rolling out right now. A lot of utility being deployed by both teams, but Eclipse still seems ready for this. The flash is, more importantly, just not hitting him at all right here. So if the attempt is to blind instead of to waste the utility sitting in the back, as flashes are commonly more used for in Siege here, and this is going to be problematic. Never mind, Eclipse, he got impatient. He's just going to go for the regression himself here. Bolo gets down. Merc takes a lot of heat. Bolo will be retrievable, though, and he'll be brought back up. But now, baiting them into the doorway, Eclipse has the angle he finally wanted to fight for, or at least for a second he does, as he picks up the 1 more kill on the SMG-11 achieved, trades him out on Repel. Either way, we're down to 45 seconds after that 1-to-1 exchange, and obviously Bolo is still taking quite a bit of heat here, too, as he's now sitting at under 20.
All right, everyone, put your phones away before I say this, so we don't, you know, send some vigorous tweets or Reddit posts. But Bolo picked himself back up, so he has 5 HP. Because Sophia is the only one that's allowed to do that. Concussion's in now onto Spirals. They're trying to clear out Hyper, but it's not going to work out. The shot's too dang clean, boys. He takes down Shala. Achieved to follow it up, though, on the hot and cold. Skies battles back. Bolo to trade it out. Oh, as they still have an opportunity here. It's a 2v2. Case control now in Bolo's hands as he begins the plan. It's all on to Achieve, but oh, it's done. It's dusted. It doesn't even matter if Bolo can pick himself up off the floor. DarkZero make sure to clean up that round, and they'll be walking away with a 4-2 split here on the console of defense.
DarkZero again there in the 2v2, some great weighted aggression. They knew that the plant situation was going to be awkward given the 2 remaining defender positions. They would very easily be able to squeeze that out if they went for the plant in lobby. Thankfully, they took the bait. It's a very easy shutdown from the player upstairs at that point forward. Great work there from DarkZero to regain control at the end of the half as they now get ready to jump onto the attacking side at a 4-2 scoreline.
Okay, well, amazing half by both of these squads. We saw some very strong adjustments from TSM to actually get some rounds on the board, and I think that was a concern for a lot of us once we saw the first 3 rounds go DZ's way in such an orderly fashion. It really didn't seem like they had to sweat too much in order to slow TSM down, but now that we've switched sides, it's up to TSM what they're able to produce on this side. We already see a change up inside of game plans. We talked about the setup before for DarkZero on this site, how they were running into some issues inside of the garage when it came to the plants. They were able to stop them multiple times earlier on, but when it came to the basement rounds that TSM were actually able to win, we saw those plants going down around the center of the garage area. No real intel there for DarkZero to try and gain any insight on that, and now TSM going for a quite a different look. They're not bringing the mirror for this stalls area. Instead, they have Chala on that Alda with the Evil Eyes. So we'll see if the Evil Eyes are actually able to assist in any capacity inside of sight. But for TSM, there's extended and then there's this. There are people practically everywhere across this map. They're picking and choosing the hatches they want open and closed. Achieved also castle barricading the short door into admin as well. So this is quite unique. They've made it to where you really can't see downstairs into the visa office area, and it seems like this is the exact reason. And Achieve wants to make a rotate into tellers and possibly, you know, play for some picks up inside of this tellers area. He's accidentally pumped another hole over here inside of another panel though, so he could possibly get seen if somebody's holding a proper crossfire, but that's just being nitpicky. It's actually meant to lead us off now though, as Merc's taken down.
Pick here from DarkZero, catching some roaming aggression to the inside of Copier there. Great find from DarkZero, and it's going to be found even further here now. Achieved getting locked out too. The early roam game, if it's even that right now from TSM, just getting spotted out so quickly and handled even more quickly here by DarkZero, as they've been able to bring it down to this very manageable situation so early on. Now, despite this, we still have bits of aggression sprawled out across the map here for TSM, most notably Bolo sitting on top yellow right now. Is going to be able to take out that drone. I don't think he got spotted, but obviously the impact would have been heard. So the player that's sitting over towards Projector, and the players by vending are going to be very well aware of that. Bolo, though, a little bit of dodge the bullets, keep himself in good straits, at least for now. He's going to avoiding that drone. And the lineup, the patience from Bolo, beautifully done. Shuts out one player there, but unfortunately is going to be traded out by Skies as he attempts to retreat further down yellow. Still a massive disadvantage here for TSM that they have to try and find a way to work back against. Only a minute and 20 seconds remaining. DarkZero, that's plenty of time for them to make their execute work here. Eclipse, actually going to get aggressive, but the player on the other side fires back. Knows he's there now for sure. Like that player was Geo, and Geo's going to end up giving up that position, or at least trying to make sound cues that would make it seem that way, before ultimately taking up position on the inside of the cafeteria and getting ready to defend once more.
DarkZero taking their time. They want to make sure that they confirm this round. They've already got the lead. TSM cannot rotate out of this basement. This is all going to be heads-up gunfights. Skies with a beautiful angle through the hatch created through that soft destruction. And now it's all down to Geo, but I don't see this going too well for him either. Shotgun in hand, but Skies quickly works that equation out as well. DarkZero with round 7 and their 5th round on Consulate so far, looking very, very solid as opposed to what they had on Theme Park.
Big win for them to be sure, especially with how they're able to catch the 2 picks so early on. As you had mentioned, Stokes, it's just a matter of making sure that they win that round in clean fashion at that point, making sure they secure the win, as there was some more aggressive tendencies coming out from the 2 remaining players on TSM. Unfortunately, not able to make that work in multiple avenues, as they are eventually locked down, shut out by the DarkZero roster, and that on top of the earlier picks they found leads to the first round win on their attack. Only 2 more needed now for them to claim their own first map and to tie this series up at 1-1.
Well, apparently TSM has something to say about this basement defense, John. We're going to see no real change-up inside of the lineup. More than likely just going to play this a little bit closer to the chest. Those early picks are really what forced TSM into a bad position. Bolo with a very nice pick. He got a 1-for-1 on a extremely well done shot. I mean, even then with that, like, the problem is when you see those shots, you just want them to keep going. I feel like everyone gets that way. You see something like that and you're just like, go, kill everyone. I want everyone to die. This has got to be on YouTube somehow, right? But either way, even in that position, that was still a really good 1-for-1 for Bolo. The problem is that they just didn't have the man count in order for that to be a successful, run for him. And that is because of that early, those early plays by DZ. I really don't necessarily know what happened to into the TSM members too early on. We saw the one pick go down inside of paper or printer, whatever you guys call it at home upstairs. But this time around, it's going to be the shoe on the other foot. Bolo hops outside and removes Skies. That's a lot of soft destruction gone, especially in Skies department. Again, this is one of the best Bucks in the entire world when Buck was at his peak. It was really achieved in Skies that just ran amok inside of North America.
I see down there by Bolo. Just booting up the Kia real quick, revving it outside for a quick run around as he takes down Skies. Tried to be edgy there, didn't really work, but I was hoping
sounded better in my head.
I was hoping for a reaction from you. Just got nothing. But either way, DarkZero fighting from the back foot now here as TSM get their first advantage on the defensive half. Second round only, of course, so kind of expected to see this come in at some point here, but did we expect to see in such dominant fashion? Because right now, there has been a complete lack of a response from DarkZero. Not only have they found that second kill, a little bit of pick damage has been picked up onto Hyper as well. And like I said, literally nothing at this point has been returned over to TSM, and the map control that DarkZero have gained is questionable at best.
Well, it seems as though DarkZero have poked at the bear. And there's one thing about bears. You really don't poke them, in case anybody was wondering. That's something that you don't necessarily do.
Please don't poke a bear.
Yeah. You know, also, bear spray, that's a lie. Don't do that. That does not work nearly as well as one would want. So don't waste your money on that. Just be safe when you're out in the woods. But nevertheless, TSM really is this bear that's been in hibernation so far on Consulate, and they've been awoken to be an absolute monster. 2 early picks, and it doesn't even seem like DarkZero have a dog in this race right now. But trying to make the adjustments accordingly. Still a basement attack here as they've now cleared out the mid-level effectively, but still have one person residing inside the bathroom. That's going to be Bolo of all people. So this might not bode too well for DarkZero here. Yes, as they're actually able to get the 2 initial panels open and can continue to clear things out. This is really on Hyper and the success he can possibly find with these breaching rounds. But I don't know if he still knows that Bolo's actually still up here. This could be a huge issue. The hatch is actually sealed. Bolo is going to rotate out. This is the play right here. This is everything for TSM.
Bolo trying to make a big flank happen. He's going to wait on this too. People may be wondering, like, why doesn't he just go for it now? You know, he's losing teammates. Well, the problem is they know the XQ is going to come in at a very, very low time scenario. They're trying to wait that up. Bolo, man, so unfortunate. Ends up walking right into the breaching charge off of the Ash. The good news is he is here now to try and deny the actual plant, but is it going to work? They're down to only 2. The plant attempt is going to have to come in from Hot and Cold, who was the player transitioning from the yellow stairs, so it takes him a moment to get into a spot. Pings are coming in. Do they have the angle for it? No, they transition the plant to the inside of Cafeteria instead. Great switch up here from DarkZero, as they should be able to get it now. Even better, Hyper's got the free pick, even the redraw as well, as he doesn't realize it the first time. Bolo's now here trying to pull off the 1v2. It was such a promising round for him, but it ends in disaster as DarkZero take round number 8 instead, putting them on map point.
All right, armchair analyst, you guys were right. He really should have flanked earlier on. Yep.
I was about to say, let's just kind of ignore that part of the conversation, because he probably should have done that in hindsight.
Oh, that's a yikes. That's a little bit of a yikes there, Bolo. But listen, man, you've hit way too many shots in your career. We can't give you that hard of a time. So we'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. It was just very unfortunate across the board. The timing was poor. When he does actually rotate out, he literally eats a breaching round for half of his health. You know, there was just not a lot of positive things going on there for Bolo or TSM instead of that 2v2, and that's exactly why we're sitting at this scoreline. 6-2 in favor of DarkZero. This is a huge difference from what we saw on Theme Park, and I think that this might be something that we see throughout the rest of the day between these two. Really pay attention to whose map pick this is when they're talking about it on the analyst desk. It seems as though there's a lot of plans implemented into these setups.
All right, DarkZero just a single round away from being able to close this one out and tie our series up at 1-1. Remember, teams are playing to 3, not 2s. This is a best of 5. We're going to be here for a little bit longer if we end up going to a series of traded maps. But DarkZero sitting on the precipice of claiming their first here. TSM has to try and find a way to get back into this, but they're in that very same situation that DarkZero was in just on the previous map here. Now, so many rounds in a row needed for TSM. Are they ready for the challenge of being able to pick all of these up? 4 rounds consecutively, in addition to the ones that would have to be won in OT as well. So a tough task sits before TSM if they want to keep their record flawless. See, though, quite a bit of a mirror setup coming down here in order to assist out with the piano play. be bunkering that, as we've been seeing from DarkZero's own side as well earlier on this map.
Pretty rudimentary when it comes to Mira on this map. That's the usual setup that you're going to see, that as well as the basement area. We've seen some odds and ends happen every once in a while with Mira on this map, particularly on the split site nowadays. But back in the day, we used to see some Mira plays by Penta, now G2, on the upstairs area on console office, which was a pretty unique setup, but we never really see that anymore, as everyone's grown accustomed to that top floor just being absolutely trash. It's not something that you really want to try and bet your bottom dollar on as a team, and that's why we don't see it utilized as much. Just way too many windows for them to play, but still expect it to be defended in the case of what TSM is doing right now. Still have to worry about that vertical control, and TSM bringing a pretty unique lineup. This is something that we saw from them yesterday. They really liked bringing this alibi along for the ride, and quite a few occasions that actually ended up working out for them. Most notably the clip that they ended up getting on Laxing, of him just constantly walking back and forth into Legion mines and Prismas.
Let's take a look here now at the final half of this round. TSM still looking to secure things, and right now they've got a pretty solid hold of the overall map here, but DarkZero now going to start to challenge that, as apparently they got piano control.
There you go.
Though, quick swing out to stop that one. Bola with the follow-up as well. So far, a good hold from TSM here. DarkZero possibly a bit overconfident with that defusal plan attempt, and it could cost them big time now if they're going to be unable to retrieve it. Sky's not in piano where the diffuser is. He's below it in the basement area right now, and the only player that would be able to move in and help out with this situation would be Hyper, but even he's a quick rotate away. You'd have to swing in from rappel. You can't just hop into these windows normally, so this is a really awkward one now for DZ now that they've lost that defuse kit.
Oh, it's the test of time here. Who will concede first? Who walks in the building? Or rather, who swings in Indiana Jones style? Hyper takes down Bolo. Skies follows through on the upswing as well. All of a sudden, we're in a 3v3. You thought it was going TSM's way, but that was not the case at all. The case, though, speaking of which, still down inside of piano, and that's DarkZero's main take right now. They need to get control of that and try and get a plant down, but not before there's another trade that ensues. Down to the 2v2, losing a member from both squads. So DarkZero not exactly having the best means in order to get case control back. TSM stacked up on this yellow staircase in order to prevent this map control necessary to make this happen. Merc still residing inside a bathroom, and with these Miras, he's going to have so much intel to translate back to the remaining members on TSM. Lots of damage done to the DZ members as well, and this is going to make this so unbelievably easy for Merc. First damage done by Chala. He takes him down. Rate of Fire is king in this game, and it's going to win TSM round 9.
A solid hold on the inside of the bathroom reigns supreme here. The unfortunate inability to deal with it there from DZ, or the ignorance of it at the beginning of the round, costs them dearly as they try to go for a plan attempt. And like I said, either ignorant of the fact or just not really caring too much about the players sitting on the inside of the bathroom. So it's a quick swing and takedown there. And from that point forward, DZ tries so hard to maintain control over that situation. But ultimately, the same issue comes back to bite them towards the end of the round, as they still have to try and retrieve it. And once again, the Mirror can unleash hell and make sure that that does not go off with a hitch.
Yeah, that's a very big question right there from DZ, simply because we saw one smoke grenade get dedicated inside of piano, and it was to simply block off the sight line from the Mira window. Granted, that doesn't stop any sound or anything of the sort, so Merc's still going to be allowed to hear where the plant's going down, so that's a possible nitro cell through that smoke. But on top of that, holding on to a smoke grenade, if they were, I don't necessarily know if they did, but I'm going to assume that they did, simply because we saw one. The other one could have been eaten up by an ADS, so if that did happen, apologies to DZ. But they definitely should have dedicated that to cover the split angle as well, because they had no one to cover Merc coming out of that door. The only opportunity they could have really had is if somebody possibly could have played the antechamber window and held that down, accounting for the rotate of him, but they didn't do that at all. They just let Merc have an avenue to stop plant and have case control for the rest of the round, and that's exactly why TSM ended up winning that. They just were able to play defense around that case for the entirety of that round.
Well, coming down to the last couple seconds of the prep phase here. Bolo potentially going to be flirting with a swing here, as we did see him pop the window. That might have just been for sound cues more than anything, though. It's the lower level that gets knocked out here, and there won't be much for him to shoot at anyway, judging from the fact that we've got a large majority of DZ spawns coming in from the other side of the map towards the yellow staircase. So Not going to see any action early on as a direct result of that. DarkZero will now have to move in and start taking this controls. It's the split site defense here from TSM. Still an active roam game on the upstairs part of the map, so they'll have to deal with that, meaning the DarkZero are on a hard timer to work their way to the site before TSM will eventually be able to overwhelm them. They'll have to force their way on.
Well, pretty explosive consulate so far by both of these teams, but across the boards, mostly equal for both of these squads.
Yeah.
Really, Geo, the only one on a sleeper. Chala ahead of the game, though, and that's exactly why TSM are still inside of this one. 10-2-6 right now, continuing on what he was able to produce on Theme Park and capitalizing on this consulate map so far. TSM still on the roam game, trying to waste as much time as possible. DarkZero going for the west to east clear this time instead. Since this is going to be a split site take, they're going to have to go about things in kind of an opposite fashion as opposed to what we usually see on this map. But Eclipse, the Jackal, gets an early pick onto Chala of all people. It's going to be a big deal. That's a nitro cell off the board on a site where these things are so very pivotal.
Still have the pulse in position, though, so Achieved can still control the chaos as long as it doesn't turn into too much for him to deal with. And even away from that, we've got the TSM, really this bunker hold on the upside of admin here as well. Hyper's going to be able to walk right in, though. Where's the setup? A little bit late, unfortunately, for Merc on the exchange. Still loses his teammate as a direct result of that fight, but if Merc can stay alive, it's not all lost yet. Unfortunately, though, he stands up just a bit too far, and Mint's able to capitalize on it. Takes down Merc, leaving only Achieved and Geo alive in this round now with over a minute remaining. Scratch that on Geo. It's just Achieved here on the 1v4. Otherwise, this map goes to DZ. Will be locked at a 1-1 scoreline.
Well, Achieved, I hope you're feeling more like Bald Genius today, because you're definitely going to need some of that big brain in order to make something happen here. Achieved, pushing his way towards Spiral. He has one in tow he's going to have to deal with, but the plant's already down. No Cams are trying to assist him. He runs up Spiral. Eclipse, done and dusted is round 10, and done and dusted is Consulate as Eclipse confirms the last frag, and that's Consulate going to DarkZero. Both of these teams so far winning their map choices.
DarkZero, great work here on the second map of the series. A lot of doubts about what they could potentially